Yeah, talking about the KANU in the court today, saying that he's going to end the desecration and discrimination in the eastern part. What's your take on that?
I think at this stage, I am beginning to respect and revere the person of Nnamdi Kanu. The last time I saw a man with so much conviction and so much resolve, even in the face of intimidation and incarceration, is in South Africa. Mandela was incarcerated for over 20 years. This was a man who was never bent, who didn't go beyond his will, his sheer will, to rescue his people. And I think Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, at this very day, wins my respect and, of course, my honor. Because look at it. If you look at the history of Nigerians, the Igbos have been a major pillar, most especially when it comes to the Nigerian economy. The Igbos have contributed significantly. Before the wars, Igbos held most important positions. And they attained those positions based on merit. It wasn't based on quota system, it wasn't based on tribalism, it wasn't based on favoritism, but they occupied those positions based on merit. And that was the genesis of the Igbos challenge in Nigeria. Because they were hardworking and they were people who believe in meritocracy. Now, moving forward to the Fourth Republic that we find ourselves, we can see that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was unjustly incarcerated, extrajudicially renditioned all the way from Kenya. Over since the last 3 years, his case has always been what? It's always been suspended, been postponed, and today he voiced out. He voiced out against the Bintai Ayako, or whatever his name is, the judge who is sitting about that case. He said, "Madam, I don't trust in you because the Supreme Court has issued a statement. They've passed a judgment that I am supposed to go. Now you rejected you denied, you disobey the order of the Supreme Court. Now who does that in a country where there's rule of law? If it is not because there is a blatant discrimination and, of course, abuse of rights of the what? Of his own ethnic group." And I think on this case is very right. Because we saw how so many people, someone like Sunday Igboho, how he was free. We saw how so many other persons who had maybe familiar issues, whenever the appeal or the Supreme Court intervenes, I mean, for that very time, that very moment, that court, that superior court must be respected. But in that case, that wasn't the case for him, which is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And today he has said it. He has said it doesn't matter if they extend his detention period, that it doesn't even matter, that he is even ready to go even a longer marathon than Maradona. But he understands that, and he is convinced that the people of the Igbo ethnicity in Nigeria will have their way and their voices must be heard, because he is ready to what? To push that cause by every means. He quoted a lot of articles, and he even said it. He said they are keeping him in detention because the Nigerian government allegedly are working in cahoots with some eastern governors, because they are using that insecurity to continue to what? To deprive the eastern people and to rape them of dividends of democracy. So he said it doesn't even matter. He will remain here and he will ensure he defeats the Nigerian government who has denied him, even in the face of justice. Even when everything seems alright, even when it is evident, even when the Supreme Court has what? Surrendered. And you know what? Binta Yako shamelessly said she will step down. Because I am sure she's not going out there to pass justice based on her conscience. She's going out there to pass justice based on the prejudice against the Igbos, that anything concerning the Igbos in Nigeria must be what? Must be against them. They must deprive them. So I think it's unfair, totally unfair for people like this, if Nnamdi Kanu has committed an offense, why have you not jailed him? I mean, ask yourself a question.
Yeah,
I am not an Igbo man, but I am just a Nigerian person. If I have offended you, say I have committed a crime, why is it taking 3 years for you to tell me what the conditions of my sentence? Simple and short. If I have to go into the prison to go and spend 5 years, by now I will know I have just 2 years more to spend and then I'll be out. Right?
yeah,
But not that. You are taking away my freedom. You are taking away everything about me. And you think you want to break Nnamdi Kanu. Some other people might have broken by now. Some people would have broken down. Maybe some people would have just agreed to just apologize. But he says it's not. And one thing is, I am impressed by his own resolve. I am not necessarily supporting agitation. But I am respecting his resolve and his conviction that when you believe in something, you should be ready to sacrifice both your what? Your tears, your blood, and your soul for it. And that is what Nnamdi Kanu do, and I think I respect him for that.
all right, thank you. Secondly, before we let you go, can you tell us about Professor Akintola, a Yoruba agitator, who is claiming that the Fulanis have killed over 29,000 Yorubas? What's your take on that?
I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that the Yorubas have suffered because they've allowed such, unruly elements invade their land. I am from the Oyo extraction of the Yoruba, and we have a very close borderlines with the north. We share the borderline with the northern Benin, and in that northern Benin, you will find a lot of Fulanis there. We share a very thin line with Kwara and the likes. Okay? So it's a shame that Yorubas, who are known to be warriors, who are known to be the defenders of their land. The Yorubas historically are known to be a force that repel any form of invaders. But what we have now is, in the last few years, that significant amount of Yorubas have been dealt with by some invaders from Futachalo. If the federal government will not see a need to intervene at this moment, then the federal government should understand that more Yoruba souls will begin to push for the agitation, just like the Nnamdi Kanus of the Southeast. Over a period of time, the federal government have failed. They have failed to protect the lives and properties of the Southwesterners. There was a time that it was almost every day they were killing people like point and kill. They go into their farms, they just point and kill, take that one, and then they roast them, they kill them, take away their lands and their farm produce. That was what prompted the late, may so rest in perfect peace, SAN Akeredolu of Ondo State, the great, warrior. He said, this will not longer happen again. Don't forget, Akeredolu was in the same party with Buhari, but he was ready to fight Buhari head on. He told Buhari, Oga, it doesn't matter if we are in the same party, I will not allow Fulanis in my own state. In fact, he went further. He said, I will not allow Fulanis in the whole of Western region. Because the Fulanis, historically, are invaders. The Yorubas have lost some parts of the Ilorin to the Fulanis. And this is a known fact today. And Akeredolu said it outrightly that the Fulanis will not be allowed to fulfill the RUGA. They call it rural urban grazing areas. He said, we in the Southwest will not approve, we will not support this gazetted or whatever they call it, whereby they say this is a cattle rearing grazing area. He said, no way. What is the cause of the fighting between the Fulanis and the Yorubas if it is not about them grabbing people's land?
Yes.
We don't share the same origin. We don't share the same historic affinities. Normally, if you are hearing fighting, it should be between the Yorubas themselves. Maybe they are because of their historical conflict That should be the case. If you are hearing conflict in the southeast, it should be what? An internal battle whereby, okay, the Igbos are fighting themselves. Okay, no be you get now me now, papa. It shouldn't be you who is coming
like
all the
heritage.
based on heritage. It should be heritage conflict because of inheritance. Just like maybe the Yorubas are trying to claim superiority over the Ife, or maybe the Lagos are trying to claim they want to stand alone. The Yorubas are like, we protected the Lagos when it was supposed to be invaded by the Downies. Those are what internal rankings, and those are what we should be having. Not the situation whereby a Fulani man will come all the way for Futajalon and be claiming an area that he wants to farm. What happened to the mountains? What happened to the greeneries in Borno, in Sokoto, in Zamfara? What happened? What happened? What kind of combination is this? What kind of marriage is this? This is a marriage of tears. This is a marriage of apathy. This is a marriage of confusion, a marriage of sorrow. And if the federal government is not careful, if they do not react at this stage, whereby a Professor Kito, though we know he's an agitator, but there is an iota of truth in what he has said, if the federal government will fail in their basic duty to protect the life and property of the common man in Nigeria, then I believe everybody one day or very soon will begin to join the agitators in the southeast. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ado.